In this video, we're going to go over which cells to upgrade first, how to upgrade them, and which ones you can throw away to help speed up the process of getting your cells to +3. So let's go ahead and meet the middleman. If you head up the right side of the map, go to the right of the repeaters, you will see the middleman vendor. In here, you can go to the cell exchange, and if you want to upgrade a cell, you click on the fuse cell slot, and you can pick either two of the same cell to upgrade a +1 or a +2 to the same cell one level higher. So if you don't have enough of a particular cell to upgrade yet and you need to get another +2 cell, you can roll, say, like a Tenacious and a Weighted Strike cell. This will give you a +2 of a random Brutality cell. As long as they're under the same category, you're guaranteed something from that category. That's a technique you can use when new cells are added to the loot pool, such as Stop, Drop, and Roll were just recently added. If you're trying to get those cells, you can just roll random, trying to get them if you're not getting them in cores, and you're really trying to hunt down that one particular cell. So in this example, we're going to upgrade 2 +1 Zeal cells. We will just put a Zeal cell in both of the upgrade slots and click Fuse. Now you can speed this up. This uses Etheric Dust. So you just click there, and now you can automatically reveal the cell without waiting the multiple days to upgrade the cell. Now, the problem with this is you're going to burn through a lot of etheric dust doing this, but let's talk about how you get etheric dust. This is one of the best tips for new players to Dauntless because getting those cells to +3 is a very important aspect of the game for a new player. And the quickest way to do that is to start stockpiling your etheric dust. There are certain cells in the game that are just not worth hanging on to, and we're going to cover those and the ones that you should prioritize upgrading in this video. One of the best tips for a new player in Dauntless is get some of your cells to +3 as quickly as possible, and the only way to do this is to stockpile ether dust. There are certain cells in this game that are just not worth hanging on to, and there are certain cells in this game that you should really prioritize upgrading. And we're going to cover those cells in this video so you know which ones to toss and which ones to upgrade. Most of the cells in the game are what I call a hang on to it cell. You're going to need it someday, possibly, and I wouldn't delete them. There are some things to keep in mind though. It only takes 8 +1 cells to get 2 +3 cells of that type. So anything over 8 of a +1 cell, you should just throw those away. You'll never need more than 8. Once you have a +3 cell, you only need to hang on to 4 more of the +1 cells to be able to make another +3 cell. And once you have 2 +3 cells, you can just automatically delete all further copies of that cell. So for example, if I already have 8 +1 Zeal cells, I do not need any more Zeal cells. I can just delete the rest. 1 +3 Zeal cell and 4 +1 Zeal cells, I can delete anything over that 1 and 4. And once I have 2 +3 Zeal cells, I can just delete all other Zeal cells other than those 2 +3 cells. This will help you farm more ether dust so that you can upgrade other cells quicker and get a full collection of +3 of everything in the game eventually. So let's go over how you delete or scrap cells in Dauntless. You want to go to the cell exchange and then click My Cells. Then if we scroll all the way to the bottom, you will see your +1 cells. If we wanted to delete the Zeal cells down to only having +8, we can delete them 5 at a time or 1 at a time. And you'll see that 1 +1 cell is worth 10 etheric dust and 5 +1 cells is worth 50 etheric dust. Just click right here and there's 50 more etheric dust. If you delete about 20 cells, you'll have enough to rush 1 cell combination. For the cell that has the lightning bolt icon, the ones you should prioritize upgrading are going to be Assassin's Frenzy and Evasive Fury. Anything else in the slot is kind of a hang on to it cell. You might use it at some point in time, mostly to do with stuff like Tempest and low stamina builds. There's a lot of flexibility with these cells. None of them are just straight toss cells in my opinion. Let's go over the cells you should scrap and the cells you should upgrade for the Brutality cell or the Fist slot. For these, the ones you should prioritize are Sharpened and Overpowered. Primarily, the Sharpened cell is the one I would prioritize the most, and this goes for all new players into the game. Sharpen should be your #1 priority because it helps with part damage, and this is going to help you get the part breaks to upgrade more equipment and craft more equipment in the game. Overpowered works really good for a hammer main or an axe main or in group play scenarios with one of those weapons because it increases your damage when the behemoth is staggered. As far as the cells you should get rid of from this category, you should honestly just scrap Deconstruction and Weighted Strikes. Deconstruction is only useful in some fights, and it's not worth taking away other cells that are going to give you more damage to put that in to deal with the constructed items that some behemoths in the game can summon. Weighted Strikes gives you a flat amount of stagger damage bonus. You are honestly better off using Knockout King over over weighted strikes. Now let's go over the finesse cell slot, or the one with the sword icon. The priority upgrades for this cell slot are going to be cunning and pulse. I would recommend upgrading pulse before cunning, as pulse will be more beneficial early game than cunning will be, as pulse is giving you a guaranteed crit. If you're on a slower weapon, you might want to prioritize cunning over pulse. If you're on a faster weapon, prioritize pulse over cunning. None of the cells in this category are just straight delete cells. All of them are usable in some niche builds, so I'm not going to recommend you delete any of them. Let's go over the cells for the fortitude slot, or the one with the shield icon. There's a lot of stuff that you just need to delete from this category. Bloodless, fireproof, insulated, vampiric, 9 lives, shell shock resistance, and warmth. The only one that a lot of people might tend to use is warmth, the one that gives you fire immunity. That immunity is better granted through the molten cell. None of these cells really serve any purpose in the game other than giving you a defense against a particular element, and they're not worth the effort to put into your equipment for a select number of fights. You're much better off spending more time practicing dodging than using any of these cells. By deleting these cells, it's going to give you more dust to upgrade more beneficial cells than to waste your time hanging on to these cells that you should honestly never use. As far as priority upgrades for this category, starting off, I would definitely work on getting a +3 parasitic. If you want more survivability, having at least 1 +3 parasitic in your arsenal will really help with that. Running +6 parasitic early game will probably also benefit you, but I would definitely focus on getting at least one of them to +3 as soon as possible. Nothing else from this category is really a priority upgrade cell. A lot of the cells in here are going to be kind of niche build cells, like going for a shield build for Bastion, or upgrading the tough cell for Revenant later on down the road, or upgrading the tough cell for a tenacious build. There's a lot of cells in here to hang on to for creative builds later on, but the priority would be parasitic, and tough if you really want to upgrade it to start using Revenant or Tenacious. For the Insight cells, the one I would recommend upgrading first is the Molten cell. I find this cell to be the most beneficial for players early game. If you are a sword or axe user, I would also recommend upgrading the Energize cell early game. The Catalyst cell is going to be something you want to upgrade for late gameplay, and everything else in this category is pretty much a keeper cell. The only 2 cells I would recommend throwing away from this category are Aetherborn, which increases the effectiveness of the heal from the vent, and the Lucent cell, which turns your flask into a heal over time. Neither of these cells are really worth putting into your equipment. You'd be much better off running something else from this category than running one of those. There are a lot of cells that I did not include in this list. If they were not included in this list, they are considered a keep cell. It's a cell that you should probably hang on to because you will probably use it at some point in time. For those cells, I would recommend keeping no more than 8 of those cells so that you have the ether dust to upgrade other things. By using this information, you're going to be able to stockpile ether dust and be able to upgrade your cells much faster. Hopefully you guys found some of the information in this video useful. If you guys are new to Dauntless and still looking for a guild to join, we do still have 70 open positions in our guild. I will leave a link to my social media in the video description, which includes a link to the Discord server in it where you can join our guild. If you have any more questions, feel free to ask them in the comment section down below or ask them into the Discord server. I'll see you guys in the next video.